Hey, happy Tuesday. Welcome to Talk Tuesday. If you've been here before, welcome back. This is your first time. Talk Tuesday is our weekly segment where we go over tips to help you enhance your finances. So, if you didn't know, this month we are focusing on things that affect our credit or affect our debt. So, last month we discussed, or last week, oh my gosh, I gotta get myself together. Last week we discussed student loans and how they're getting ready to start. We're going to start paying them again and how repayment will affect our debt. This week we're going to discuss high interest and how that affects our debt. Hey, thank you all for hopping on. Hello. Yes, thank you for being here. All right, so let's get into it. So, we're talking about high interest, but first let's discuss interest. What exactly is interest? So, interest is when you borrow money, it's actually the fee that the lender charges you to borrow that money. So, if you borrow money, when you pay it back, you're paying back what you actually borrow, which is the principal plus what their fee is, which is the interest. Hey. All right. I have some people I haven't seen in a while. Hello, everyone. Oh, glad to see you guys. All right. So, what I'm going to do, so your interest rate really could vary based on, sometimes, mostly it's because of your credit score. But sometimes it depends on exactly what the company's, what their requirements are. Maybe they don't have interest rates that go below a certain amount. So you can't get it but so low. Like I know, for instance, one of my credit unions, since I had the credit card maybe 15 years, my interest rate was 9.9. With the current economy, they had to change it. I mean, I'm sure they didn't have to change it, but for their sake, they changed it. Probably they were losing a lot of money. So they actually changed my interest rate from 9.9 to 12.9, which still isn't really bad. But, when you're used to 9.9, you're used to 9.9. So all that just to say that sometimes it's not, based on your credit. However, sometimes it is based on your credit, but it just depends on the situation. All right. So I'm going to just give you an example of different amounts you might pay based on the interest rate. So let's say, for instance, your credit card interest rate is 12%, and you borrowed, or let's just do credit card. I'm not going to try to confuse it. So if you have a credit card, your limit is $1,000 and you're paying back just the minimum, which could be a couple of dollars, right? And then when you're paying that back, and if you're paying it just the minimum for the whole time, that could take you up to 6 years to pay that back if you're just paying the minimum. And that's assuming that you don't continue to use that card. So you'll probably pay approximately maybe over $400 in interest when paying that back. Whereas a person who has an interest rate of maybe 24%, with that same $1,000, and again, assuming they're paying back the minimum and not using the card, they would pay back almost $2,000 in interest. So you can see the big difference in how interest affects what you pay back versus what you borrowed. So you will want to have as small an interest rate as you can. So I would encourage you to definitely look at the debt that you have, look at the interest rate that you have, and see if you can get it lower. So again, with the economy, some companies might not want to budge right now, but some may, and it won't hurt to call and ask. Now, don't call, don't go calling every month, because then they're going to be like, "What the?" And then they're going to be annoyed with you, and then you probably won't get it. But every so often, give it a try. I mean, if you never try, of course, you'll stay exactly where you are. And some credit card companies, if your credit is affected, maybe you have something else that goes in default or something else that runs late and your credit score actually drops, they will actually go and increase your interest rate without you even requesting it on their own. Now they don't do the opposite and come back and decrease it when you're doing good. So it's up to you to contact them to see if they can decrease your interest rate so that you can pay less. Let's see what other notes that I have on here. Oh, I have a list of types of high things that usually come with high interest. So I have on here credit cards, and which we've been discussing. We have payday loans, which a lot of people know what that is. That's, a lot of times when we get into a cycle with something that we need, and the people who are lending it to you know that you need it, so they will, of course, charge you a lot for it. And sometimes it's so much that when you're trying to pay it back, that is, so if you borrow this check and then, by the time you get to this check, it's so much that you owe them back that by the time you get here, you don't have enough to cover your own expenses. So then you end up in a cycle where you have to keep getting it, and you eventually never really catch up to it. It's hard to get out of that cycle, and they know that, and that's why they offer it, because for them, they're making a lot of money continuously because you keep getting them. We have cash advance. Now, cash advance is something on your credit card. So that's where some credit cards give you the opportunity to, slide your card when you go to the store and go and, buy what you want. But some give you a PIN to get the money back, like they get cash back, like with the actual debit card. Now, those you have to be careful, because if you're not paying attention, you won't realize, or you may not know, that the amount that you pay in interest when you just slide your card versus the amount you pay in interest when you pull cash back as a cash advance is a lot higher. And then when you go to make your payment for your bill, you're not paying back what you paid back, what's your cash advance. You're paying back what you actually used first, because they're getting more money off the cash advance. So unless you pay your bill down to zero, what you're paying back goes to what you're using as as a credit purchase versus that cash advance, which allows them to continue to charge you more and more interest on that cash advance until you get down to zero, which for a lot of people is a long time. Because if you're using your credit card, most times we need that credit card. So we're using it and using it and using it, and then it never really hits zero. Now, if you hit zero, good, and that's our goal. And then you will actually wipe off or drop off that cash advance balance. I see the comments. Let me just check it out. Yes, just say no to payday loan. Absolutely. Hey, how are you? Thank you for joining. Yes, yes, yes. Sometimes it does sit on your back when you're trying to pay stuff off. It's really, really hard. And but also, guys, let me know where you're tuning in from. And thank you so much for joining. Some more high interest things that you might have is a store credit card. So, stores, they offer you these credit cards when you go in, and, their interest rates are exceptionally high. So you'll have somewhere, let's say, um, I don't know if I want to just throw stores out there, but, some stores have really high interest rates where you might be paying 27% interest, which is like really high. And then they try to get you to buy. They're asking you the moment you get to the register, you can already have your debit card out. They want to tell you how much you can save by using their card or what you can get off. And it's usually like 15% or $10 off, which doesn't amount to much in comparison to how much you're going to pay back in the interest from whatever that initial purchase you make, on that actual day. So you don't want to, get those credit cards unless you can afford to pay them back. Now, there are benefits if you can actually pay them back in full when you use them. So you could do something like, get the amount off. And some of them have like you get a certain amount of rewards, and you get cash back and things like that. As far as store cards, like I know certain stores, if you spend a certain amount, you get a coupon for this amount off of this amount. So that could be your benefit only if you're paying it off in full. If you're not paying it off in full, the amount that you're paying in interest exceeds far exceeds what you're getting off, which, in your eyes, when you first see it, it's like, I'm getting money off, I'm getting a deal. So you're excited about it. But when that money sits on the card, you're paying back so much to where it really voided out what you actually got off and the benefit of it. Well, we don't realize it. And if we don't look at our bill, we don't see it. So again, like I said earlier on the call, to check in your interest rate. Look at your bills. Look exactly at what you're paying. And I've said this before, and I will continue to say this. Open up that statement. Look at your minimum payment. Look at how much it is. Look at how much you're paying in interest, and see the difference, and see, how little of your payment is going to your principal, which we talked about earlier. Let's see. We have auto title loans. So those are your car title loans. Some people offer you that. And sometimes they offer you so much that they know you can't pay back, but when you're in need, you want that amount, you think you can, get a lot accomplished with that money. But if you don't, or if you're like, I have extra money, I can do this, I can do this, I can do this, and then you never amount for having to pay it back. So then you don't pay it back, and then the people can just take your car. So now you're stuck with no car, and I had to figure out what to do with that. If you didn't have money and you actually needed to get this auto loan for your car, like your title, then you definitely don't have the money to get a new car. So be careful because things are offered to you. They're made to seem so good, and sometimes they're not. They're good for the moment. And, if you need it, you need it. But try your best not to get things with high interest. When people offer you things, make sure you read the fine print. Make sure you look at it. And a lot of times when you go to get credit, they'll have this interest rate is 0%, really big, but in small writing, it'll say for 3 months or 6 months, and then it's going to go to 27%. Okay, so something like that is we're so excited about it, but if you don't pay it back in that time frame, when you hit that 3 months, you're going to pay back all the interest for everything that's still on that card. So it doesn't just say, while I had the trial period for the 0% off, then I'm 0% interest, excuse me. That it doesn't say, just for that time that I'm not going to, owe any interest on what I got at that time. No, it's if you pay it back in full at that time. So if you don't know, you could be, I don't want to say tricked, but kind of tricked into, charging it up because it's zero interest. So it's dollar for dollar. But if you don't pay it back, then they hit you with all that interest. And if you have a lot on that card, then all that interest that hits at one time, and which will then shoot your payment up high. You might have been paying back $25 each payment with 0% interest, where it could shoot your payment maybe to $50. And again, remember how much of that is going to the interest and how much is going to the principal. All right, all right. Okay, okay. Dallas in the house. Hey, Dallas, Texas, Norristown, Pennsylvania, Ambler, PA. Thank you guys for tuning in. Hey, hey, hey. Yes, always read the fine print because it's so dangerous. And if we're not paying attention to it, things can happen and we can get caught up because we're not, really reading things. And a lot of times people will put the pressure on you for you to, hurry up, But that is so that you don't read it. If somebody wants to give you something, a loan or, something financial, take the time to read it because ultimately it affects you and you only if you sign that paper. Let's see. Let's see. Let's see. Let's see. Okay, so then I just have the total effects of it. So I have that, you get the high interest, and that can then affect your credit score because the bounces on your cards, if you only can afford to pay the minimum, then you are, increasing your debt to income, and then that'll affect your credit. And then when you go to apply for other things, then they're going to give you a high interest rate because they're seeing that how much you have already in other debt and can you afford to pay off what you're trying to get with them when you already have this high amount and things like that. So just be mindful of the snowball effect of having the high interest and not paying it off and how it could be hard to pay it off. You never get it paid off and just keep in that cycle. So just be careful. Be careful, be careful, be careful. Be mindful of your interest and check it out. And, if you do have high interest, then one, work on a plan to understand what you have going on. Create your financial plan, create your budget, and work your way out of it. Work on a way to understand what you have, start managing your money, seeing what you have going on so that you can not close the card because that will affect your credit. I do not cheerlead for closing a card. Now, if it has like an annual fee, depending on, the limit, but that would be specific. So I can't give anything on that because I would have to actually see and talk and all that with you. But create a plan to get out of that debt. Get rid of it. Get rid of that high interest. Focus on things that benefit you. That have cards that have the miles, the cash back, and just do what benefits you. Okay. And actually, after this call, I have to hop on a call in my Financial Freedom Mastermind call group where we work on tonight, working on mastering their budget. And some of them are doing just that. creating their plan to get rid of their debt, or maybe to increase their savings, or whatever it is they're working towards, whatever their goal is. So right now the doors are closed, but if you want to join later, I'll put the link in the chat after the live. So if you're watching the replay, hashtag replay in the comments. Thank you for joining. If you're not subscribed, definitely subscribe. We're live every Tuesday at 6 p.m. Eastern and right here on YouTube. Thank you all for joining. Next month will be my anniversary in business, 2 years. So I have to figure out what I'm going to do special for you guys. Thank you for joining. Definitely stay tuned. I might have a special live on that day. But if you come back to the page and look, you'll also see where I'll put, it says like upcoming live. So just check it out. And I will see you all soon. Thank you for joining. I hope this was beneficial to you. I hope you learned something. I hope it makes you think about, your interest rate that you have. And I'll see you all next week. Have a good one.